Hey, Dylan.
I changed the locks. How do you keep getting in?
Never mind that. I've got a friend on the phone. Dinner last night, 29 quid.
Yeah, fine. Just round it up. Give her the rest.
Yeah, Dylan said he's going to send you 100.
No, whoa, no, not 100. Just round it to the next 10.
Oh, he said he's going to be rounding 10.
No, I didn't. Listen, you go to the next 10, okay? After 29, just round it to the next 10.
Oh, sorry, friend. He's not going to send you 29. He's going to send you 39 pounds.
Give me the phone. Give me the phone. Well, clearly Hayden needs a lot of help when it comes to rounding. Hopefully this video will make you an expert. So we're going to take a look today at how to round to the nearest 10, the nearest 100, and the nearest 1,000. And what's really cool about this is once we get this technique correct, we can apply it to 10,000, 100,000, millions, 10 millions, 100 millions, even billions. We'll be able to round to any value on our place value chart. So let's start with the basics though, and make sure we get it right. We're going to start by rounding to the nearest 10. And the thing to remember here is that whenever we're rounding to a number, in this case 10, the answer will be a multiple of that number. In this case, a multiple of 10. Now looking at the first sequence, that's a very basic one. We've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. But it's really important to note that the first number that goes in a sequence, it's going to be 0. Now 0 will be a valid answer. We're rounding to the nearest 10 at some point, and I'll show you that later on. So it's important to remember that 0 technically can count as one of our multiples. I suppose we could say it's 0 lots of 10. Either way, it is a valid answer when rounding sometimes. Again, I'll show you that later on. Look at the second sequence now, and this is where I really want to make my main teaching point. Whatever we're rounding to, again, in this case, we're rounding to the nearest 10. I want us to think about how many 10s are in the number. Now, most children will look at the first number here, 260, and say that this digit is in the tens column, so that there are 6 10s. You'd be absolutely correct to say there are 6 10s in 260. But there are also 200s. Now, I don't want to deal in hundreds. We have no ones anyway, but I don't want to deal in hundreds. I just want to say that number, 260, in 10s. And the way I can do that is by underlining the whole number up into the tens column. We have 26 10s. Now, look at the next number. We have 27 10s. Do you see a pattern? 26. 27. Counting in tens becomes a lot easier when we just go up like that. So we've got 26, 27, 28. So the next one obviously will be 29, but it won't be 29 because it's 29 tens. So we put a placeholder in it at the end. And then the next number will be 30. Again, is it actually 30? No, it's 30 tens. So we put a placeholder in. And then we have 31 tens, 310. So you can see a pattern here emerging. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30 tens, and 31 tens. This is really helpful, especially when we get to larger numbers like the bottom sequence. Let's take a look. We have got here, wow. So the way to think about it, this is going to help us later. Underline until you get to the place value you're rounding to, in this case tens, and stop. So we've got 598 tens. The next one is one extra 10. So we've got 599 tens. And this is a classic question when we're counting multiples of tens where we can get stuck. And hopefully you can see how our technique is going to help us avoid getting stuck. So we can count in ones, 598, 599, 600. Do we stop there? No, because it's 600 tens. So we need that one more placeholder at the end. So that's 6,000. This seems really basic, but this kind of small twist in how we view a number is really going to help us when it comes to rounding. So I think it's time that we do some rounding. Now, rounding to the nearest 10, our number here is 29. You might already know. You might already be thinking, well, I can just tell. I know which 10 this is closest to. And the reason we've got a line here is because it's always good to think of the 10 that comes before 29, the multiple of 10, and the multiple of 10 that comes after 29. Now, again, you might be able to spot this one. We're going to do the same technique as before. We're going to underline our number until we get to the digit in the column we're rounding to, in this case, tens. And this is where it slightly changes. We're going to build a wall. Now, I teach at a school. I'm an actual teacher in a primary school. And one of my colleagues showed me this method. And I loved it. It's so clear. So here, we're going to build the wall right down the middle. And we've isolated 2 tens. That means that the multiple of 10 before 29 was 2 tens, which is 20. And remember, always thinking about that as 2 tens. Now, what comes after 2 tens? It must be 3 tens. So that's the next multiple of 10. And we can see there that it's 3 tens in the tens column. 20 and 30. And now we can look at the digit that is after the tens column here, which is in the ones column, which is a 9. Always remember that 5 is our key digit in the middle. Is 9 bigger or smaller than 5? Well, it's bigger. 29 would go somewhere here on our number line, and therefore the closest 10 is 30. Quite straightforward so far. Let's try another example. Feel free to pause the video and see if you can get the answer yourself. You might be able to do this one in your head. So same technique, underline to the tens because we're rounding to the nearest 10, build the wall, and that is 7 tens down here, which is 70. The next multiple of 10 after 7 tens will be 8 tens. We put the placeholder in right there, which is 80. We know halfway is 85, always a good way to think about it. But we don't even have to do that step because we know in the ones column we have a 2. 2 is lower than 5, it's a low digit. So we're going to round down and we're going to circle 70 as the answer. Relatively straightforward so far. What about when it's dead in the middle? Let's see what I mean. So we're going to be rounding to the nearest 10, underline to the tens, put our wall up and bring down 9 tens. 9 tens is 90. Aha, what's after 9 tens? Well, it will be 10 tens. And we know actually that 10 tens, so we put 10 in, and our placeholder for tens is 100. Halfway, that is 95, isn't it? 5 is exactly half of 10. So 95 is exactly halfway. And this is the first rule that we have to really just learn off by heart when we're rounding. If we see a 5, if we are halfway between the two multiples, we round up. So the answer to this one is 100. So we can think of it like 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to round down. We're going to be closer to the lowest multiple. Then we have 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. We are closer to the next multiple, so we round up. How about this one then? This one's different, and this is where we might come unstuck because we don't have 2 digits anymore, we have 3. But listen to this technique, it's the same as before. Underline the number until you get to the place value column you're rounding to. In our case, it's tens. So we stop at the tens and we build a wall. Now remember when I showed you earlier about multiples, thinking of it as 26 tens, 27 tens, 28 tens. Well, this one, we've managed to cordon off 71 tens. So we're going to bring that down as the lower multiple. We have 71 tens, so that becomes 710. What's next after 71? 72. So we write 72 up here, but remember it's 72 tens, so it's 720. Circle the number next to our wall, which is a 3. We know 3 is a low digit, so we're going to round down, and the answer to this one is 710. It doesn't matter how many digits that the number has, we underline all the way to the place value column we're rounding to, in this case tens, and we can solve it. How about this one then? It's 4 digits. Using the same technique, you might want to pause the video and have a go. We're going to dive straight in. So rounding this one to the nearest 10, underline the thousands, the hundreds, and then get to the tens and stop, because remember we're rounding to the nearest 10. Put up your wall, and I've actually got 632 tens. So I bring that down as my lowest multiple, 632 tens with a placeholder. What comes after 632? 633 tens with a placeholder. Circle my digit next to the wall, it's an 8. That's a high digit, so we're going to round up, and it really is as simple as that. The answer to this question was 6,330. Now, do you remember what I said earlier about 0 being a valid answer? Well, let me show you something here. Rounding to the nearest 10. Now, this only has 1 digit, and I know what you're thinking. If I do my place value columns, I've got a 10 here, there's nothing there. How can I underline to the tens if it doesn't exist? Well, there's a special digit, right, for holding a place if we don't have any of it. It's called 0. We can put a 0 in. Okay, we're going to put it in just as a placeholder. So we underline to the tens, we put our wall up, and we bring down how many tens? Well, 0 tens. So 0 is a possible answer here. What's the next 10 after 0? Well, after 0 comes 1, so it's just 1 10, which is 10. We circle the digit next to the wall. It's a 4. That's a low digit. It's not at 5. 5's when we go up. We're at 4, so we're going to round down. And we're going to circle as our answer 0. It is a valid answer when rounding sometimes. 4 to the nearest 10 is actually 0.
Oh, now I get it. Oh, hey guys, if you're enjoying Dylan's video as much as I am, then you should totally check out our new 11 Plus preparation service, which we're launching on our brand new website next week. Or if you're watching this in the future, then I guess you can check it out now. What's great about it is Dylan and I have created 4 quality lessons, just like this one, per week, with homework tasks that we've made to go with the lessons. And we've got video walkthroughs of those tasks too. So if you like our teaching style, it will totally be worth checking out on our brand new website, www.topdogonline.co.uk. There's even some free example resources to get you started. Anyway, sorry Dylan, back to you.
Okay, now we're going to take a quick look at rounding to the nearest 100. And it's exactly the same technique, just with one small change. You might already know what it is. But I want to go back to the multiples thought process we had again. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. Remember, 0 is valid. That is 0 hundreds. The next one down, this time, we're going to look at these numbers and we're going to think about the hundreds column. When we rounded to the nearest 10, we stopped looking at the tens. Here, how many hundreds in 2,600? Again, children would be correct to say 600s. However, I want to express the number as just hundreds. I don't want to be saying 2,000s. So I can actually say that 2,600 is the same as 26 hundreds. And look, I'm going to put my wall in now because I know I'm going to do it later. 2600s, 2700s, 2800s. What comes next? Well, it'll be 29, and this time it's hundreds. So there are two placeholders, 2900. What comes after 29? Well, that's easy. It's 30. Don't be fooled by that 0. It doesn't count as our placeholders for saying hundreds. So we have 30 already written. Then we need two more placeholders. What's after 30? It'll be 31. And then two placeholders. You can see here, we're just counting up in ones, aren't we? 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Same applies if we have more digits. These are 5-digit numbers now at the bottom. We're still going to underline until we get to the place value column we are rounding to. In this case, it's hundreds. So 10,000s, thousands, here are the hundreds, put our wall up. 128 hundreds. 129 hundreds. What's after 129? It's 130. Put my wall in if I want to. Hundreds. So 130 hundreds. I've definitely written down the right number. It's actually 13,000. Same thing. So with that in mind, let's take a look at this one. I wonder if you can have a go yourself before we carry on. Can you round 264 to the nearest 100 and just make that small tweak to what we did for the tens? This time we're underlining to the hundreds. Let's take a look. We're going to underline here. Straight away, I'm at the hundreds digit. So I'm going to put my wall up and I'm going to bring that down as my lowest multiple. I have two hundreds. So that's 2 with two placeholders of 0, 200. What's the next 100 after 200? Relatively straightforward, this one. It's just going to be 300. Now, same as last time, circle the digit next to our wall. This is the tens digit. We have 6 tens. Now, do you remember, is 6 a larger digit or a smaller digit? It's a larger one, so we're going to round up. So 264 to the nearest 100 is 300. Can we apply it to this one? Again, have a go yourself if you want a bit of practice. I'm going to go through it now. So we're going to underline to which column? Well, we're rounding to the nearest 100, so we're going to underline to the hundreds column, put our wall up. Bring down 900s as our lowest multiple. What's one more than 9? It's 10. And you might already know that 900 plus 100 is 1,000. I think of it still as 10 hundreds, which of course is 1,000. Then we circle the digit next to our wall, which is an 8. It's a high digit again, so we're going to round up. And 981 rounded to the nearest 100 is 1,000 exactly. Hopefully you can see the merit of thinking of numbers as how many hundreds when we're rounding to the nearest 100. Let's take a look at this one because it's 4 digits this time. Does it change our technique? No. Feel free to have a go. I'm going to show you now how to solve it. Underline until we get to the hundreds because we're rounding to the nearest 100. Here are the thousands. Here are the hundreds. Does it matter that it's a 0 digit in the hundreds? No. Put the wall up and we're going to bring down 40 hundreds. So 2 more place value holders here to make 4,000. What's next after 40? We can see here our number is 40 we brought down. Well, it's obviously 41. And remember, we're talking about hundreds. So 2 place value placeholders to go in there. So 4,000 or 4,100 is our answer. Circle the digit next to our wall, which this is the tens digit, which is 4. 4 is smaller than 5, so we're going to round down. The answer is 4,000. So 4,044 rounded to the nearest 100 is just 4,000. Do you see what I did here? Can you see what I'm doing again? Remember, I'm trying to consolidate what we looked at earlier about 0 being a possible answer. Now, we need to underline this number until we get to the hundreds. We have a problem again, right? This is ones, this is tens, this is hundreds, so we don't have anything there. What's that digit we can use to hold a place? We've been talking about it a lot today. It's 0. So now I've put that in, I can actually underline 0 up into the hundreds and build my wall. Bring down 0 hundredths as the lowest multiple. What's the next 100 after 0? It's 1, so it's going to be 100. Circle 6, that's a high value digit, so we're going to round up, and the answer here is 100. Now, 0 was a valid answer. It was a possible answer, but it was wrong because 6 is large. We are going to round up. So 67 to the nearest 100, it's just 100. Now, this is my favorite types of question. These really are my favorite types of question. It's when we're given one number and we're asked to do multiple roundings to it. So our number up in the top is 3,652. I want you to have a go at rounding this number to the nearest 10. So underline into the tens, bring down the lowest multiple. What's the next one? And then round it. And then do the same to the same number, but this time do it to the nearest 100. So feel free to pause the video and have a go. I'm going to dive straight in now. So I always write it out twice, because then that way I can annotate it as much as I want. Now we're going to do this one to the nearest 10. So I'm going to underline 3,652 until I get to the tens and then build a wall. So 365 tens. What's after 365? It's 366 tens with a 0. Circle my digit next to the wall, which is in the ones column, which is a 2. That's a low value digit. We're going to round down to 365 tens or 3,650. Now I want to do something to the same number. Should I annotate this number again? No, it will get really messy. Write the number out again, 3,652. Now this time I'm rounding to the nearest 100. So I'm going to underline my number until I get to the hundreds column. So this is the thousands and the hundreds. Now I'm going to stop now. So instead of 365 tens, which I had at the top, I now have 36 hundreds. So 2 place value holders to go there. What's after 36? You guessed it, it's 37. 100, so 2 place value holders to go in there. Circle the digit next to our wall, which is this time in the tens column. It's a 5, so we're halfway. Remember what we said about 5? Even though it's halfway, we're going to round up. So we go up here to the next 100, which is 3,700. So the two answers to this question are 3,650 to the nearest 10, 3,700 to the nearest 100. There is another step though, right? We said nearest 10, nearest 100. Nearest 1,000. I really want you to try, if you've watched this video so far, to round this to the nearest 1,000 using our technique, but this time stopping at the appropriate place value column. Have a go, pause the video. I'm going to dive straight in now. So we know we underline our digit until we get to the place value column we're rounding to. In this case, we're rounding to thousands. This is our thousands digit, 4 thousands. So we stop there. We're going to bring down 4 as our smaller multiple, but it's not 4, is it really? It's 4,000. So we put in our place value holders, 0, 0, 0, 4,000. What's the next number after 4? It's 5. So the next 1,000 is going to be just 5,000. So we put in our place value holders again, 4,000 and 5,000. Circle the digit always next to our wall. In this case, it's the hundreds. That's going to tell us whether we're closer to 4,000 or 5,000. 7 is a large digit. We're going to round up. The answer to this question is 5,000. We're there. We're at a 5-digit number. Try and round this number now to the nearest 1,000. Have a go if you want, or watch as we do it together. Again, we're going to underline. Let's just do our place value columns to make sure we really know what's going on here. These are the ones, the tens, the hundreds, the thousands, and these are the 10,000s. So we need to underline to the nearest 1,000. So we go from here, and then we're going to stop at the thousands, put up our wall. That is 59,000s. Bring down 59 here, 59 thousands. What comes next after 59 thousands? It's going to be 60 thousands. So we write 60, that's our next number, and then put in 1,000. So it's either 59,000 or 60,000. Circle the number next to the wall. Oh, it's a 0. What do you think we do if it's a 0? Well, 0 is the lowest possible digit we can make, right? So we must round down. We're going to go to the lower multiple here. The answer is 59,000. I'm hoping that this technique makes sense to you guys. It's worth practicing and practicing and practicing. And what I've got here is the ultimate question. I want you to take 9,625 and round it to the nearest 10, round it to the nearest 100, and round it to the nearest 1,000. See if you can get 3 different answers using this technique that we looked at today. And if you get all 3 answers, let us know in the comment section down below and we'll see if you got all 3 correct. Hopefully by this time, you are much better at rounding than Hayden was. And if we ever have to round up how much a meal costs, you guys will be much better at it than he was. Feel free, guys, and it's really helpful for us to subscribe to our channel if you enjoyed this video. Please like it, please leave a comment like we said with an answer, and we will see you real soon for some more videos to help you in your preparation for whatever exams or tests you are taking. See you next time.